911 operators, what call will you perhaps never forget?
These are real horror stories of people from Reddit.
There was one call that initially seemed pretty silly to me, but actually turned out to be quite serious. 911, where are you located? 121 Main Street. Okay, what happened? I would like to order pizza. Oh, great, another prank, ma'am. You called 911. Yes, I know. I would like to order a large pizza with pepperoni, mushrooms, and peppers. Sorry, you do realize you called 911, right? Can you tell me how long I should wait for you, okay? Ma'am, are you okay right now? Do you have an emergency? Yes. You can't talk about it because someone is in the room with you. Moment of realization. Yes, right, so how long? For the order. We have an officer a mile away from you. Is there a weapon in your house? No. Can you stay on the line? No. See you soon, thank you. When we received the call, I checked the history for that address and saw that there had been several reports of domestic violence before. Upon arrival, the officer found a couple. The girl seemed to have been beaten and the guy was found to be intoxicated. He was arrested after the girl reported that he had been in Kyiv, that he had been beating her for some time. I think she is quite clever for pulling off such a trick. Hey guys, I work as a 911 operator. The very first call I answered at 911 was about some naked guy sitting in a bathtub on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. Edited. This was in Western Tennessee, since everyone is curious. The one I remember the most was remotely assisting a deaf father with the delivery for his deaf wife. Intruders broke into their house and tied them to a chair. When the intruders saw that the woman started giving birth, they panicked and fled. It took the father several hours to free himself and make a call. While I was giving instructions, I got a description of the suspects and sent it out to neighboring departments. They were caught in the northern part of the city while I was still on the call. The baby was born completely healthy. A few years ago, I worked in the call center for an auto parts store, not 911. So some guy calls and asks for a part. I find the part number, place the order just as I usually do. Then I hear him sigh and start to cry. Naturally, I asked if everything was okay and he replied, "You wouldn't want to hear about my problems, buddy." Since I'm a nice guy, I decided to help and said, of course, what happened. And eventually I was overwhelmed with emotions. It turned out that his wife was suffering from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis and had recently passed away. He was repairing her car to sell it. He said that it all escalated to the point where she stopped walking, stopped talking, and stopped managing basic needs such as dressing herself, taking a shower, and so on. Eventually, she didn't even recognize him by face, and then it became painful. It finally took her away. He told me that he has to move because he can no longer stay in the house without his wife, and that he found 80,000 pounds in a cupboard that do not belong to him. He said that they will most likely be donated to charity. In general, after a 50-minute conversation, he was so happy that he asked me for the company's address. I was new at work, so I didn't realize the danger of disclosing this information. At Christmas, I received a card from him thanking me for taking the time to listen to him, and that it really helped him get through a difficult time just by talking to someone about it. So, yes, he was a very nice guy, and I will remember him for the rest of my days because he had a significant impact on me with his story. A Harley motorcycle flipped over and the clutch lever got stuck in the eye of a 40-year-old child. The parents were on the line asking what they should do. Suddenly, the mother said they are going to flip the motorcycle over. I firmly instructed her to forbid them from doing that, to stop and wait, to get help. Eventually, the rescuers cut off the clutch lever and took the child to the hospital. He underwent surgery. This was in 1982. Just last year, I met the chief rescuer and the grown-up girl who was that very child. They wanted to meet the 911 operator who saved her eyesight. My wife occasionally wakes up in tears when she dreams about such calls. It's always either mommy doesn't wake up or I ran over my boy. She hasn't worked for 15 years, some things just leave marks. God, I had one such call. An 8-year-old boy called me talking about how his mom wouldn't wake up, and he couldn't tell if she was breathing or not, so I started explaining to him how to find out. I still remembered him sobbing on the phone, just saying mommy over and over because he was in shock. I was a complete jerk for keeping him in the room instead of getting him out of there. I worked as a 911 dispatcher for several years. One of my most memorable calls was when some hysterical woman called in. It was midnight and there was a thunderstorm outside. She was speaking so incoherently that nothing could be understood. I kept responding, "Ma'am, you need to calm down. I can't understand you, ma'am." This went on forever. Our officers were already on their way to this clearly frightening incident. Eventually, she said something about her sister being next to her. "How old is your sister?" 1. I immediately suspected something was off and asked, "How old are you?" 5. It turned out to be a 5-year-old boy. So I accidentally called the little boy mom for quite a long time. Oops. The storm woke him up and his parents had disappeared somewhere. They went out to move their cars to shelter in case of hail. He was just very scared. Our officers still arrived at the scene and talked to the parents about not leaving sleeping children alone even though everyone was safe and sound. It wasn't my darkest call, but it's one I never forget. Poor little ma'am. I didn't work at 911, but I was a manager at the AT&T call center. When I was remotely listening to our employees' conversations, I came across a call that was escalated to the second level of difficulty for assistance. On the other end of the line was a woman who listened to what I couldn't. In a hysterical state, she reported that her husband was trying to kill her. According to protocol, we must trace the number to the local operator and notify the law enforcement in that area. We tried to do that, but we had no way to contact the local sheriff. Stupid, I know, but technically we weren't real operators and our equipment didn't have that functionality. Basically, we were supposed to act as a relay between law enforcement and the victim who was on the line. By this time, I had already left my office and sat next to the second level operator to help calm her down while everything was going awry for her. The operator, let's call her April because that's her name, was handling the call very well at first, but over time she started to falter. Listening to the call with April, I was trying to relay to the police what was happening. We heard a woman screaming. He's going for an axe. Ma'am, where are you located? I've locked myself in the bathroom. Please hurry. The police are already on their way. They said they're 5 minutes away from you. Then we heard a loud banging. Her husband was trying to break through the door. April was at a loss when she heard the woman start screaming as her husband went for the axe. She took off her headset and went to the restroom, saying something like, "I can't take it anymore." I can't. Then I took the headset and started calming the woman down. Ma'am, the police are already at your house. Where is your husband? In the room. He's right outside the door. The sound of the axe became even louder. The woman screamed frantically and started crying. And then, "This is the police! Drop the axe! This is the police! Drop the damn axe! Pow, 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 pow!" The police told me to ask the woman to open the bathroom door, which she did. Then, over the phone, I heard the voice of the deputy sheriff. All he said was, "The situation is under control. Operator, disconnect." I still get goosebumps when I think about it. Before my grandmother passed away, we had to call 911 to take her to the hospital. Some elderly woman came to our house, and for some reason, an ambulance as well. The woman struggled to climb the stairs to the front door and fell back. She thought she hit her head because she touched it and saw blood on her palm. In reality, she just scratched her hands, but she thought it was blood from her head and fainted. We had to call another ambulance. I have a couple of such stories, but one of them definitely surpassed anything imaginable. That's the one I'll tell you about. So, the backstory. I worked in a very busy city, so shootings, rapes, robberies, and so on were not unusual, but unfortunately the norm. We had already gotten used to it. Several times I heard people die on the other end of the line during our conversation. Once, a lady called. She said, "My husband has put a gun to my head and he won't leave me alone." She was screaming and later dropped the phone. All I heard at that moment were her screams at her husband. "But I love you, baby." And then, boom, a shot. "But I love you." Boom, a shot. And at that moment I stand up and shout into my tiny microphone, "Stop saying you love him." Everyone in the room with me turned and looked at me as if I had 5 heads. But I was engrossed in my call. It turned out that the guy found another man in his woman's closet. I can say that the guy managed to escape, but the woman did not survive. Thank you very much for watching in the comments. If you work in similar establishments, share your stories. Plus, don't forget to check out our other awesome episodes. That's all, bye.